Hello and welcome back to the channel. I don't think words can explain today how excited I am to have this as my next playthrough. In the vast, deep forest of Hyrule, long ago I have served as the guardian spirit. I am known as the Great Deku Tree. The children of the forest, the Kokiri, live here with me. Each one has a guardian fairy of their own. However, there is one boy who does not have a fairy. Wow, this is the 4K texture upgrade by Henrico Magnifico, and this game is looking great. Seems to be like 95% working. Occasionally during cutscenes or animation there might be an odd dropped frame, but aside from that it works basically perfect. Listen to my words, the words of the Great Deku Tree. Dost thou sense it? The climate of evil is descending upon this realm. Malevolent forces even now are mustering to attack our land of Hyrule. For so long, the Kokiri Forest, the source of life, has stood as a barrier deterring outsiders and maintaining the order of the world. But before this tremendous evil, even my power is as nothing. It seems the time has come for the boy without a fairy to begin his journey. The youth whose destiny it is to lead Hyrule to the path of justice and truth. Navi, go now, find our young friend, and guide him to me. I do not have much time left. The fate of the forest, nay, the world depends on you. So before you blow up the comments, I will explain how I got this to run later in the video. It's not easy. It's not something you just download and go. So I'll go through that maybe once we're inside the Deku Tree and dealing with a little less story and dialogue. But I have noticed during some cutscenes, or specifically when you open doors in dungeons, sometimes it might drop a frame, but other than that, it seems to work perfect. Hello, wake up. The Great Deku Tree wants to meet with you. Get up. Is it Deku or Deku? Can Hyrule's destiny really depend on such a lazy boy? You finally woke up. I'm Navi the Fairy. The Great Deku Tree has asked me to be your partner from now on. Nice to meet you. The Great Deku Tree has summoned you. Let's get going right now. We're off to save the world. Definitely an upgrade from the N64 version that I've played in the past. I'm gonna skip as much of these tutorial parts as I can. We're off to find the sword and shield because we can't get to the Great Deku Tree without them. So basically we need to gather up 40 rupees and find the sword, and the sword's hidden back here. If you're wondering about the small screen in the corner, it's because this patch is meant for the 3DS version, not the N64 version. Which is kind of what made this complicated to run. I guess we can go over that now while we're not really dealing with story mode, but first here's our sword. Alright, so basically the upgrade is just a patch which requires being attached to a ROM. Has to be the 3DS version of the ROM. The patch comes with its own emulator. But in order to get this to work, you basically need a 3DS that's hacked or jailbroken, and a copy of Ocarina of Time 3D for the 3DS. We had to dump the ROM onto our SD card using the hacked software. We then had to transfer the SD card to our computer, and then attach it to the patch and run it in Citra, which is the 3DS emulator that comes with the patch. So a physical copy of the game and a 3DS are actually required. It's not something you just quickly download and go. It was a bit of a process to get this to run, but for me it's worth it because this is one of my favorite games of all time, and now it looks a lot more modern. I'm not used to the 3DS version of this game. I always played the N64 one, so you might have to bear with me a little bit with the controls here and there. But it seems like they've basically gone through and created texture upgrades for everything in the game kind of one at a time. This must have been one giant project, but they have this game looking amazing. And I can't wait to play through it as much as I can. Be throwing down some saves here and there just to make sure nothing crashes, but so far I haven't run into any issues there. It's cool because I have a playthrough of this up on my channel of the N64 version when I was still new and didn't know what I was doing with YouTube, so I can actually kind of compare the two side by side and see the difference with all the textures. Now once we become Adult Link, we'll probably be playing the adult dungeons out of order once again. I tend to do that on my playthroughs of this game just to keep it exciting, you know. Play the water temple before the fire temple. If you want to go see the Great Deku Tree, you'll need a sword and shield. You have the Deku shield, and what's that? The Kokiri sword? Good grief. Well, even with all that stuff, a wimp is still a wimp. I, the Great Mythal, will never accept you as one of your own. I don't know how you became the favorite of the Great Deku Tree and Saria. Grumble, grumble. And just like that, we're gonna face our first enemies here. Now, I wonder if this is patches that will work in progress or if this is done. O Navi, you have returned, and welcome. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell thee. The slumber these past moons have been restless and full of nightmares. As servants of evil gain strength, a vile climate pervades the land and causes nightmares to those sensitive to it. Verily, thou hast felt it. The time has come to test thy courage. I have been cursed. I need to break the curse with thy wisdom and courage. Do you have the courage to undertake this task? Then enter, and you too, Navi. Thou must aid him. A little fourth wall breaking here. Press the fairy button when you need to talk to Navi. Don't know how he was talking with his mouth all the way open anyway, but we're heading in to see how awesome it's going to look in here. Our first dungeon. Yeah, so familiar, yet at the same time so different. Yeah, definitely the spider web in the middle looks a lot different, and just all the walls in general look like they have a lot more work done to them. I'm not going to read all the tutorial stuff, like how to open a door and how to climb a wall. Some of the storyline stuff I will, but I'm sure anyone watching this has probably seen the storyline of this game before anyway. It's cool, there's reflections on the metal parts of the chests now. Yeah, we can open a door by pressing A, we get it. If you jump off a high cliff and press forward to roll, it'll prevent damage. Except I don't think that works in the 3DS version. I think that's from the N64 version. I think they took that out when they made the 3D version of the game. Alright, we have our slingshot. We're gonna have to equip some of these items now. So we got our sword, shield, slingshot, sticks, and nuts. Now, of course, the game only allows 6 characters for your name, so we couldn't name our character Games Gone Nuts after the channel, so we just shortened it to G's Nuts for this playthrough. Alright, we got seeds, which are just ammo for our slingshot. Can't wait to see some of the boss fights in this game and how upgraded they've been. Yeah, as you can see, it plays pretty much perfect. I'm not the greatest player at this game as much as I love it, but the only real difference or thing I've noticed is during the cutscene, occasionally, or door opening, it'll kind of drop a frame, but it does run at about 30 frames a second, which is a lot better than the 15 to 20 that we got on the N64. Like, there's much more animation done to the running and things like that. So a lot more lighting effects, textures, and reflections on items. It's very well done. Let's see if we can avoid this spider. Yeah, still getting used to the control scheme in this game. It's a little bit different. Alright, gotta light this torch on fire. It's our first one of these puzzles. We'll be seeing many more of these throughout this playthrough. Torch lighting and block pushing puzzles are always a staple of this game. Alright, let's see if we can make this jump without missing the hole in the floor. I think this still might be my favorite Zelda game. You know, at the time when other ones had been released, like Breath of the Wild, I thought they were gonna pass it. In the moment, they were, I think, just as great, but this one just has a bit more replayability to me. I do want to, at some point, fire up Breath of the Wild and play through it on the channel, but such a big undertaking. That is such a beast of a game. I also noticed when I was getting this to work that there were upgrade patches for many other Zelda games that Henrico Magnifico has created. So if we get enough love for this playthrough, we might try another one sometime in the future. It is if I can figure out how to get those to run. I specifically went out and bought a copy of this game just to be able to do this. Like I said, I've owned the N64 version of the game, but I'd never owned the 3DS version of this game before. Had to track that one down in the wild just to make sure I could make this all happen. I don't think you can really download 3DS ROMs, and only certain ROMs that are decrypted in certain file formats will work with this this patch and emulator. So the easiest solution was just buying the game and dumping the ROM myself onto the computer. I think the game's actually pretty cheap. Like, you can find a card-only version of the game for like $15 or something like that. It's not a super rare or expensive game on the 3DS. It's getting a 3DS itself that can be a little pricey nowadays. Yeah, people seem to have found a new love for the 3DS in the past several years. I think the fact that you can jailbreak and modify them is part of that appeal. They're great if you're playing these games online, like YouTube or Twitch, because you can dump the ROM from your physical game to play on your computer. But now that I have a jailbroken 3DS, it opens up the future to some more 3DS titles on the channel. Maybe we'll do a Link Between Worlds one day. see a lot of people doing Let's Plays of A Link to the Past, but a lot less people seem to do playthroughs of A Link Between Worlds, which is kind of a spiritual sequel. I think it's because it's not easy to emulate the 3DS, and the ROMs are not easy to come by unless you're dumping them yourself off of your own cartridges. Alright, our first block pushing puzzle. To move the block over, then climb on top of it to go through the door. Very simple. I think the 3DS version might have actually sped up the animation for pushing and pulling blocks too. There's quite a few quality of life improvements in that version that we'll kind of go over as we encounter them. I know, like, you can equip the iron boots as an item to avoid pausing the game every time you need to take them on and off at the water temple. Alright, we're getting through this first dungeon pretty quickly. We're going to be encountering our first boss fight in no time at all. Oh, I forgot about these guys dropping from the ceiling. Not much of a challenge there. This game is pretty forgiving though. You get a lot of hearts. Now that area I believe you can come back to once you have the bombs, and there's probably like a gold Skulltula in there, or Skulltula in there, however you pronounce that. It's not often I go for a complete run of collecting those anyway. Unless I was doing some sort of randomizer that included them, or trying to do a 100% playthrough, I'll collect some of them, but probably not all of them. If they're convenient, we'll get them. Let's just say that. I will try and show off as much of this game as I can, seeing as it will be cool to see all the upgraded things. Cutscenes and areas and everything. And as I said earlier, I do tend to sequence break this game because it makes it a lot of fun. On my previous playthrough, we'll probably be taking a similar route where after the forest temple, I think we did the water temple. I know we did half of the spirit temple, and I think even the bottom of the well before the fire temple. It's hard to remember. It's been about over a year since we did that playthrough, but we'll probably take the same kind of route and play the dungeons all out of order, just because it causes some interesting and hilarious things to happen. Wow, the water is such a difference in this version of the game. Okay, we gotta hit these guys in order. 2, 3, 1. They tell us the secret of defeating the boss, and they open the door for us, because there is no boss key in these, like, child dungeons. The boss keys are mostly just in the adult dungeons. Here we go. We're on to Queen Gohma. It's a great throwback to the original NES Zelda game. We've been fighting the same boss ever since. Parasitic armored arachnid. Oh, I am so not used to these controls, so please excuse me if this isn't the cleanest boss fight, but I'm sure we'll get through it no problem at all. Me not used to being used to the controls might just make it a more exciting boss fight, if anything. Instead of just taking this thing down in one jump shot or something. Alright, let's just get rid of these guys. They're gonna annoy me. They're not strong anyway. They're just gonna be in the way when we're trying to focus on the boss. Alright, I think we gotta do that one more time and this will be over with. Alright, we did it. Thou hast verily demonstrated thy courage. I knew that thou wouldst be able to carry out my wishes. Now I have yet more to tell thee, would thou listen? A wicked man of the desert cast this dreadful curse upon me. This evil man ceaselessly uses his vile sorcerous powers in search for the sacred realm that is connected to Hyrule. For it is in that secret realm that one will find the divine relic, the Triforce, which contains the essence of the gods. Before time began, before the spirits and life existed, 3 golden goddesses descended upon the chaos that was Hyrule. Din, the goddess of power, Nehru, the goddess of wisdom, and Faeror, the goddess of courage. With her strong and flaming arms, she cultivated the land and created the Red Earth. Nehru poured her wisdom into the earth and gave spirit of law to the world. Pharaoh, with her rich soul, produced all life forms who would uphold it. Three goddesses, their labors completed, departed for the heavens, and the sacred triangles remained at the point where the goddesses left. Since then, the sacred triangles have become the basis for our world providence, and the resting place of the triangles has become the sacred realm. Thou must never allow the desert man in the black armor to lay hands on it. Thou must never suffer that man with his evil heart to enter the sacred realm of legend. That man who cast the death curse upon me and sapped my power. Because of that curse, my end is nigh. Though your valiant efforts to break the curse were successful, I was doomed before you started. Yes, I will pass away soon, but do not grieve for me. I have been able to tell you these important matters. This is Hyrule's final hope. Go now to Hyrule Castle. There thou wilt surely meet the Princess of Destiny. Take this stone with thee, the stone that man wanted so much that he cast this curse upon me. We got the Kokiri Emerald. The future depends on thee, thou art courageous. Should thou ever lose the way, seek a vision path from the Sheikah stone that stands beside my home. Navi the fairy will help carry out my will. I entreat thee, Navi, goodbye. Really, everything we did in there was for nothing, because he died anyway. He could have just given us the stone without us going in there, and everything would be the same as it is now. But we're off to Hyrule Castle to meet Princess Zelda. I think we're going to probably do that in our next video, because I don't want this to run an hour long. What did you do? The Great Deku Tree, did he die? How could you let a thing like that happen? It's all your fault. Alright, well, he's annoyed with us, but I think that's where we're going to end things today. So come back and see our next video in the Ocarina of Time 4K playthrough. As always, thanks for watching our video, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.